All right, magic makers. So today I wanted to talk about metabolism. And more importantly, do you have a flexible metabolism? And I bring this up because I hear regularly or I see posts on social media and they talk about their metabolism. And many women will tell me that like their metabolism is broken. It's fast. Oh, once I hit 40, my metabolism hit the skids, right? There's always something about their metabolism. And so first, I guess the question is like, do we even know what metabolism is, right? It's just like this kind of like big nebulous word that gets tossed around that, you know me, I'm like, let's just make sure we all get on the same page. We are all talking the same talk. And let's start with this, a definition, right? I looked it up. Metabolism is one of the things, nope, that's not the definition. I got to read the next line. The definition is metabolism is the chemical reaction in your body's cells that convert energy to food. That's metabolism. So what we really are having a challenge with is that chemical reaction, right? There are a lot of different hormones that are in effect that take our food and break it down. And so how does that work? So our food is converted into energy. Now, our bodies like simple, they like easy. So it's going to first look for any energy in our blood cells, right? Is there any energy floating around in the blood cells that I can just open up a cell and suck in whatever body part needs that energy? Okay, no? All right. So then I'm going to have to go and tap into my fat stores. I got no fat stores? No, then I'm going to tap into my muscle, right? So it's just, it is a kind of a cascade effect. And so just like anything, our bodies, we run on energy, right? If I don't put gas in my car is not going to work. If I don't put heat in my house ain't going to work. So we all are capable of gaining energy in many different ways. We take in energy, food, alcohol, are ways that we as humans primarily take away food. And we all have a filling, right? We all have this kind of baseline of what we need to run optimally, okay? And so when I say that's a fancy word for saying your basal metabolic rate. And your basal metabolic rate is like your base level. Your base level of energy your body needs, base level calories that your body needs to keep you alive, to blink your eyes, to pump your heart, to have you like take a breath in and take a breath out. And so that's just that's your basic level. And so your energy comes down to two ways. Your body can say, I'm going to burn sugar, or my body's going to say, I'm going to burn fat. All right. And if we take a step back and we understand how our body like stores food, right? So I said, if it's readily accessible in your bloodstream, it's there. The body's like, all right, here it is. I'm going to do it. Boom. I don't have to do any work. It's out there in my bloodstream, readily accessible for me to eat or to use. And then if the food that I bring in, the alcohol that I take into my system is not used, it is shuttled away into fat for storage, right? So think about the best way to describe it is like Christmas decorations, right? Or Halloween decorations. You take them all out, you put them all out, and when you're done, you throw them in the closet. And then when you need them, you go into the closet and you grab them. That is what your body does with excess calories. Throws them into storage. And so when you use, so think about this, like fat is your body's bank account, right? I have excess money and I put it into my bank account and I'm saving it for a rainy day. If I eat sugar, that is like if I have money in my purse, right? And if you have money in your purse, and some people are like, money burns a hole in my pocket. If I have money in my purse, it's really easy for me to lift it up and just like be shelling out the money, be like, I'll make it rain. That's how your body treats sugar, because it's really easy, right? It doesn't take a lot for your body to burn sugar. what happens is, because many of us eat an excess of carbs, sugary foods, alcohol, our body doesn't have to work hard. So anytime it's just out there floating around in the bloodstream, and anytime there's like an excess of it, our body just shuttles it away to fat. So our bodies never have to go to the bank, right? If you always have a cash supply. So when I was a waitress, waitressing is pretty much a cash business. Well, back in the day, it was pretty much a cash business. People would always I would always have cash. I never went to the bank. I always oh, I got cash. And I would always just have cash and I would never go to the bank. That's how our body's on sugar. I don't have to go to the bank. I got cash. So why would I need to go to the bank and take money out? Right. And I'm not saying I'm not using a debit card. I'm literally taking out cash and making it rain. And so so that means most of us are sugar burners, and it's not our fault, because it's how we've evolved, over the course of, hundreds of years, since the Industrial Revolution, where, we made it easy to get food, back in the day, let's just go back to caveman times. If you think about caveman times, I know when I was going to eat. Wintertime, it was cold. Animals hibernated. Oh, hell, I hibernated. I was probably eating a lot of, meat that I dried, or seeds, or dried fruits, whatever foods that I could preserve. That's what I was eating a lot of. And when I say a lot, probably not a lot, right? I was, basically trying to stretch it out for, the 3-4 months that I knew I couldn't really go out and forage for much stuff. Then if you think about summer came, and you were able to go out, and there were berries on bushes, and there were a plethora of animals available, and you could hunt. The days were long, so you could hunt for hours upon hours, and it was warm, so you weren't trying to stay huddled up in your caves. And so our bodies naturally went through these cycles of eating differently. Right now, I can get strawberries in freaking February. I don't even know when strawberry season is, because they're readily available. And so many of us have just gotten to the pattern of just eating the same way, expecting to lose weight, expecting to, jumpstart our metabolism. If I eat some superfood, or reduce the carbs, or reduce whatever it is that I'm eating. So as we evolved, food scarcity wasn't a thing anymore, at least not for many people. We could know, I could go to the grocery store and get food, right? I didn't have to wait to go hunting. I didn't have to wait to for the harvest. I don't, for many of us, we're not farmers. We're not waiting for the harvest. So as we learned to eat processed food, our diet became higher in carbs, because carbs, if you think about it, carbs are easy to find. Processed foods are very easy to find. Think about if you're going on a road trip, or one of the things we talked about was going on a road trip, or airport, right? We were just talking about it. I was just talking with friends about an airport. For the most part, airports have the crappiest food. They have there's always a Sbarro. So you can get pizza, greasy Chinese food, a burger, there's McDonald's, there's a Burger King, right? There's a Dunkin' Donuts. There's always some place I can get fast processed foods. It's some places you can get a decent fast foodie type meal. So we've made it really easy to continually be this sugar burner, and which has led us to always be hungry, right? Because as soon as our body burns through that fast food, literally fast food, it's what's next? What's the next meal? Where are we going? What are we doing? And so how do we start to shift ourselves so that we have a little bit more metabolic flexibility? Because the more metabolically flexible we are, the more likely we are to sustain weight loss, right? And that doesn't mean that I'm in a constant diet. And that's the one thing I always say, at some point you have to break your diet, because if I'm always restricting, always like living in this like little, 5x5 box, just making up that number because it sounded good. If I'm always living in this 5x5 box, I'm going to struggle. And then I'm going to fall off the wagon. And then I'm like, oh, I must find something harder. I must find something more intense in order to survive. No, that's malarkey. So how do we make the shift? So many of us just want to pull the carbs. Like I talked about carbs, like that means I got to pull the carbs. Not necessarily, right? And I got to force my body into submission. Think about it. How many times have you beat your body into submission and it fought back? It fought back hard. It fought back, so hard that you were just like, whoa, dang, I didn't think you had that in you. So we can't beat our body into submission. Some of us have been dieting since we're 15 years old and our bodies are like, hey, I can't, no more. I'm not going to do it. And they're standing up and your body's standing up for itself. Rightfully so. Your body needs to stand up for itself. So the first place that we're going to start is let's just start by taking an inventory. Where the heck are you? If I don't know where I am, how do I know where I want to go? Bottom line, end of story, do not pass go. So that means I have to track something. Now, so many people are like, oh, I don't want to track my food. Well, then you don't want to lose weight. Am I saying that you have to track food for the rest of your life? No. What I'm saying is for right now, 14 days, 30 days, what the heck is going in your pie hole? What are you putting in your mouth? Because I'll guarantee you that you're probably overeating something or undereating something. That's primarily what I've always seen. And when I say overeating or undereating based on your goal, right? If I'm someone who's trying to put on muscle and I'm not eating a lot, well, good luck with that. Good freaking luck. If I'm someone who's trying to lose weight and I'm eating an excessive amount of calories, good luck with that. But if I don't know where I am and I'm just like, well, I've just always eaten this way. Well, take a look. It's like I've been talking about your bank account. So many of you, you get a text on your phone that says, okay, you spent, or this charge has gone through on your credit card, or this, this deposit has gone through into your checking account. Your numbers like that, right? But we don't know anything about our body. And so if I track my food for at least a month, I can start to see a pattern, start to see what's going on. And then from there, I could be like, all right, let me understand this. The second place I want to go is that I know that I said this, and I know I told my clients this, I preached this, I lived this till about maybe 6 years ago. 5 meals a day. If you do not eat 5 meals a day, you're going to die. You need to keep your metabolism stoked. It's the only way to really keep up with the extra things you're doing. Ugh. So here's the thing. That's bro science. And what I mean by bro science is that there is not a study that anyone can point to. And I'm open. If you have found a study that says you should eat 5 meals a day and prove, this is what the thought process was, is if I ate 5 meals a day, it would even out my blood sugar and it would help me burn a little bit more calories because of the thermal effect of food, right? So think about it like this. If I'm eating food, my body temperature has to raise in order to digest the food. Then I should be, the thought was I would get a little bit of a calorie boost. So I've known that study, they've shown that it's insignificant, right? The amount of boost that you get by eating 5 meals a day is insignificant compared to the other things you can do to get that boost. So what a lot of people have ended up doing is they ended up desensitizing their body to 1, hunger, and 2, insulin. So we've just flooded our bloodstream with food. And so instead of our insulin levels dropping down, the triglycerides in our blood dropping down, it's always available. So it's like going to a buffet in Las Vegas, right? I don't know if you've ever been to a Las Vegas buffet, but it is like bananas. It is just like, think of a type of food that you've ever heard of, like any ethnicity, any like variety of food that you've ever heard of, it's there. and it is there in excess. That is how our bodies are now. We've become, as we've, become more industrialized, our bodies have become a buffet. There's always food circulating in the system, and I don't have to wait. So for some people, we've become our bodies have become desensitized to when we truly need to open up the cells for insulin and when we truly need to close the cells for insulin. We've been desensitized to, like, am I truly hungry, or have I trained myself that at 10:30, that's what I'm supposed to eat my snack. I'm supposed to eat lunch at 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 7 o'clock, right? Have we trained ourselves into these eating patterns like what's that? Pavlov? Yeah, Pavlov's dogs. Is that what we've done? So really what just kind of like think about, like, how have you done that? Because I know when I had my clients eat 5 meals a day, it was overwhelming for a lot of people, right? It was like a lot of decision fatigue. Like, what the heck am I going to put in my mouth 5 times a day? Just overwhelmed. Like, I got to cook it. I got to put it in Tupperware. I got to bring it, blah, blah, blah. And so many fell off the wagon. I get it. Like it was a lot. Like I remember, like, I literally lived out of Tupperware. I brought my food pretty much freaking everywhere. I had this huge cooler bag that I brought everywhere. And I was always like stressed out about, like, how am I going to keep it cold? Right. So how do we start to make the shift? First, let's start to learn when we're hungry. Right. So I recommend that you eat when you're hungry. I did a free challenge probably about a year ago. And one of the women was like, I was always told that I need to eat within 30 minutes of waking up. And I was like, are you hungry? And she said, no, but I was told this is what I must do. And when I told her, like, why don't you just eat when you're hungry? You would have thought I made her queen for a day. It just was like, it blew her mind. I was like, eat when you're hungry. And so that's my first thing I want to tell you, eat when you're hungry. And so, like, I ate by the clock. So what I had to do is, so say 10:30 was the time I would eat. And 10:30 was like, I used to teach always at noon. So if I ate at 10:30, it gave me plenty of time to digest before I had to teach at noon. So 10:30 would come and I would, like, start to get hungry, and I would sit for like 15 minutes. And I was like, could I sit for 15 minutes? And then when I could sit for 15 minutes, then could I sit for another 15 minutes? And so it was a slow process to kind of start to break myself out of that, like, I must eat at 10:30, so that I can start to understand, when was I hungry, right? There's 2 hormones that control our hunger. One is leptin. So one is leptin. Leptin says I'm full. Like that's the hormone that comes out and says, okay, brain, shut down the stomach, we're full. And then you have ghrelin, and ghrelin is the hormone that says, all right, brain, tell the stomach to growl because we are hungry and we need food, right? So those 2 hormones, we want to try to get them back in check, so that leptin isn't always ghrelin isn't always ringing the doorbell, but like, when's food? What are we eating next? Right? So how do we start to do that? So the first place that I recommend, one, eat when you're hungry, but then start playing with intermittent fasting. Now, when I say this, everything I'm telling you right now isn't, this is what you're going to do for the rest of your life. It's not. This is a process, right? We're going to start to step away and start to say, how can I start to create this flexible metabolism? So intermittent fasting was one of the things I had to do to teach me that it's okay to be hungry. And now I know that there are several ways to do intermittent fasting, and I will do a whole podcast on intermittent fasting. There's several ways to do intermittent fasting, but I challenge you to create a schedule that works for you. So there's a schedule that is, you stop eating for 18 hours, right? And so most people, it's like, stop eating at like 6 p.m. and then you don't eat again until like 8 in the morning. Well, I work until 8 o'clock at night. And I am not going to be able to eat till 9 o'clock at night. So if I were to stop eating at 6 o'clock, I would starve. So I challenge you to make whatever your last meal is, that's when you start your clock. right? And I had a client who she went to intermittent fast and she was always trying to stop eating at 6. And she did the same thing. Like she was a trainer and like she was training till 9 o'clock at night. And I'm like, why are you trying to follow that schedule? Like you need to have brain cells when you are coaching somebody else. So whenever is your last meal, that's when your clock starts. So if you're going to intermittent fast, like, you don't have to follow their hard and fast rules. Make up your own time, right? The rule is like, can we go a certain amount of time without putting food in our tank? Increase your fat. Now, when I say fat, I'm not saying like go out there and like fill it up with like, burgers and cheese. I'm saying, good fats. So it's avocados, it's good fat oils. And good fat oils are any oil with the exception of corn, veggie, soy, canola. I would use olive oil sparingly. And I'll tell you this, the reason why I'm saying olive oil sparingly is that especially in our American diet, we get a lot of omega-6s and olive oil is rich with omega-6s. So I want to try to kind of scale this back a little bit from the olive oil. I know everyone's like, oh, the Mediterranean diet, but try to do your best to, not rely so heavily just on olive oil. The second place with the fats is that it's not just freaking peanut butter and almond butter. Like it's not that. It's like, it's nuts, it's seeds, it's like liquidy oils, coconut oil, it's those types of oils that we want to start to see if we can put a little extra into our system. Proteins and fiber, right? I can't stress this enough that, many of us undereat protein. And protein is amazing for one, satiating, right? Protein, it takes a while for you to digest it. So it's really easy for you to, it's a little challenging for you to digest. So it keeps your body working a little bit longer. So it keeps you fuller longer. Same thing with fiber, right? Fiber fills the gut. So fiber is your fruits and vegetables. And the other thing that I like about fiber is that there's certain fibers that are good for your gut health. And so the stronger our guts are, the more likely we are able to create that good bacteria and get out some of that bad bacteria. And then here's the last piece. I want you to think about like cycling through your diet. And I was having this conversation with women in my membership, and it's many women are like, oh, this is the year I'm going to lose, 50 pounds. This year I'm going to lose 20 pounds. Great. Awesome. But you can't spend a year dieting. Now, before anyone passes out, this is why, right? I can't live a life of restriction. A life of restriction always is going to come and punch me in the face. Bottom line, end of story, do not pass go. I'm always going to get punched in the face with restriction when I live in such a really tight bubble, right? Vacation's going to come and I'm going to be like, I deserve it. Or it's going to be a holiday. It's going to be your birthday. And then we start to fear these things, right? Think about it. The holidays come and everyone's like, oh my God, I'm going to gain 400 pounds. Summer comes. Oh my God, I'm going to gain 400 pounds. You go on vacation. Forget about it. I can't focus on anything. I'm on vacation. So instead of having these big swings and highs and lows, let's start to cycle our diet so we can start to plan around these days. And so one of the first ones is during a time when you have a little bit more time on your hands, why don't we say, what, I'm going to open up my diet. I'm going to add more calories. I know, again, before someone passes out, this is just a small segment of the year. There's 12 months in a year. So maybe for 2 months, I'm going to add more food into my diet. And when I say add more food, I'm not saying we're loading up on the sugary treats. It's like, I'm going to add maybe 300 to 500 more calories to my meal. However, I'm going to exercise more. So maybe you're someone who is going to the gym 3 times a week. So maybe you're like, I got a little extra time. So for the next, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, I'm going to bump it up and I'm going to be going to the gym 5 times. So now I'm eating a little bit more and I'm exercising a little bit more, right? And I'm going to do that for 6 weeks. Then I'll say, you know what? I'm doing this because in 6 weeks time, I'm going to go on vacation this summer and I want to like start to put a little bit more muscle on, get a little bit more muscularity in my system. So then you do that. So like we do that for like, 6 weeks. Then you're like, okay, now I finished that. So 6 weeks from now, 12 weeks from now, I'm going to be going on vacation. So I want to lean out a little bit. So I'm going to eat a little less and I'm going to exercise a little less, right? So maybe I pull my calories back by 500 calories. Maybe I pull my workouts back to 3 days a week, right? Okay, you still with me? So then I do that. I go on vacation. It's fabulous. I didn't go overboard. I was enjoying myself. So then I come back and I'm like, okay, you know what? I am going to, or it's summer, right? So maybe it's like, it's summertime. You're like, okay, I'm going to eat a little bit more, but I'm going to exercise less. Right? I'm still going to exercise, but I'm going to open it up. Maybe I'm adding like 2 or 3 more 100 calories to my nutrition, and I'm going to still exercise, but maybe it's like, I'm just going to focus on leisure walks and I'm just going to make sure I'm getting in 150 minutes. Right? So then I spend another part of the year where I'm eating less and I'm exercising less. So maybe it's a time that it's a busy season. I have clients who are tax professionals. I have clients who have kids who are in very active sports. And so maybe, I just don't have the time or the bandwidth to be committed to my health at that point. So I'm going to eat a little less. I'm going to exercise a little less. But do you see how it goes? So it's like, it's kind of like planning out my year, like as a personal trainer, right? So one of the things that strength and conditioning coaches do is it's called periodization. So if you think about a sports team, right? So let's just say football, right? So football pretty much starts August and runs through January. So that's their season of eat less, exercise less. Oh, sorry. That's their season. So like they're just focused in on being the best they could be in the game. That's it. Like that's the focus. The game is the focus. So it's not about bulking up. It's not about PRs. It's like, I'm just going to go in and I'm fueling my body to get me through the season. Season ends. So say the season ends over February. So February through August, that's my off season, right? So then I say, okay, I'm going to, from February to say May, I'm just going to eat more, exercise more. This is where I'm going to build. This is where I'm just going to get really like just focus in on how strong can I get, and I'm just going to feed the hump, fuel the body for these intensive workouts. Then say like May or June come around and I'm like, all right, so I'm going to cut back a little bit on the exercise because I know that fall training's coming up and they'll be putting us through different workouts, and so like I want to make sure that my body is going to be able to sustain the season. So I'm gonna eat a little less, but I might keep my exercise up, or I might decide that I'm going to eat a little less, I'm going to exercise a little less just to get ready to my body to prepare for the season. But you see where I'm going, where there's a method to the madness. And so as I'm telling you this story, this isn't for you to try to decide that on your own. This is like, as a coach, we work together and be like, okay, what are we working towards? A lot of my clients get so mad and they're like, why do you always ask me a goal? Well, if you're not working towards something, like, how do I guide you, right? for me, a goal is like punching into my phone. I want to go to 1 through 3 Main Street. That's what a goal is. And so then I can say, what are the levers we're going to pull? Are we pulling the eat more lever? Are we pulling the eat less lever? Are we, pulling back the exercise? Are we pushing up the exercise? Are we pushing up the food, pulling back the food? Where are we going? And that's what a good coach is. It's like, we're helping you kind of navigate the like ups and downs of the system, but you got to share the information, right? You can't just be like, my metabolism is slow, fix me. Because girl, that's not the question to ask. The question is, okay, this is where I want to go. Or if you don't know where you want to go, let's have that conversation. Shoot me an email, but like, I don't know what's going on with my metabolism. I would love to chat with you about that. I'd love to help you figure that out, because I see so many different mistakes that especially women over 40 are making. We've been doing the same exercises that we've been doing since we don't even know how long we've been doing those exercises. I taught group fitness at the same place for 13 years. I would see the same women come into my class and they look the same day one as they looked on day 13 years later, right? Because they were doing the same thing over and over again. They would reach for the same weights, no matter how many times I said, for the love of God, pick a heavier weight. For the love of God, in my subtle way, I would drop a heavier weight in front of them. They'd be like, I can't, right? So here's me getting all up in your face, getting all up in your girl and being like, for the love of God, if I want to see a change, I got to make a change, right? You can't always be on a diet, because that diet will always find a way to punch you in your face. Your metabolism will always find a way to fight for the energy. Your body needs energy. Your body needs food, and you can't always be in a deprivation state. From time to time, you got to open up your diet, add a little bit more food, and trust me, your body will be like, thank you, sweet Jesus, I've been praying for this. And so if you're like, I don't know how to do any of that, dude, hit me up. That's why I'm here. You shouldn't have to sit there on the sidelines and be Googling and clicking and scrolling and trying to do stuff on your own. That's why you hire a coach. That's why a coach can totally help you out, figure that out. This isn't me giving myself this whole, paid infomercial. This is me just saying, I give a crap about you, and I want to make sure that you are no longer spinning your wheels, right? So if you want to have a flexible metabolism, you got to start implementing some of these things. It can't always be in a deprivation state. And for the love of God, have a carb. All right, I am off my soapbox. Ladies, have a fabulous week, and you know how to reach out to find me. If someone needs to hear this, please be sure to share this with them and get them to subscribe to this fabulous podcast, if I don't say so myself. All right, ladies, I'm out. See you later, Magic Makers. Have an amazing day.